Persona is a series that has been around since 1996, making it one of the longest running video game series that is still getting new entries to this day. And with that comes some big demand in the collecting world. Ranging from obscure items that are almost impossible to find, to items that you better be willing to sell your house for, there's plenty of interesting things to look at, so let's go over some of these and have some fun. Well, I figured the best way to go about this is to split everything into a few categories. We'll be going over some Persona themed consoles, collector's editions, and stuff like that. And starting off with a really strong item is the Persona 4 Dancing All Night Premium Crazy Console. This was a Vita only released in Japan, and the back has the Persona 4 Golden themed rainbowy TV theme to it. I'm not 100% what it's actually called, but it is really beautiful looking. The box has Teddy in his dancing outfit on the front, and inside it has the value pack with the game, the soundtrack, and all that good jazz. The Vita is the slimmer 2000 model and actually has an exclusive theme on it you can't get any other way. This system will run you anywhere from around $300 to $400 complete in box, so while it's definitely expensive, if you can find it for a good price, I would recommend trying to pick it up because it realistically isn't going to get much cheaper, which is unfortunately a common theme across most of these items. Next up is the Persona Q Velvet model system, and I think this console is just gorgeous. It has the Velvet Room blue on it with this really cool design on the front with a blank tarot design, and I believe it's meant to resemble the book Elizabeth holds in Persona 3. On the back it has all the cast on it with the Persona 3 characters lined up on the left, and then the Persona 4 characters lined up on the right. This is honestly one of my favorite system designs ever, and I would honestly do really unsavory things to get my hands on it. The Japanese variant of this system will set you anywhere from around $300 to $400 back, so similar to the Dancing Vita system as previously mentioned. But this system did actually get a release in the US, and if you want to get this system complete, then oh
my god, bro.
Oh, hell no, man. What the fuck, man? Get your ass on.
Yeah. This shit is very rare and very expensive. If you wanted to pick this one up, I'd definitely recommend just getting into the Japanese variant and getting some homebrew installed to play software from any region. But of course, if you're solely an NTSC collector, then well, all I gotta say is good luck finding this for a good price. While we're on the topic of Persona Q, there was actually another collector's edition called the Wild Cards Edition, which came with the game, the soundtrack, the art book, and all the stuff from general collector's edition items. This one is really still expensive actually, going from around $150 to $250, which is really crazy because this really wasn't too expensive until that long ago. But I figured I would mention it real quick while we're still talking about Persona Q. Now for the most expensive Persona themed console, the most expensive Persona system is the PlayStation 4 Pro Persona 5 Royal Glacier White system, which typically sells for a minimum of a whopping $1,000. This is probably my favorite PS4 design ever because the front has this really cool design where it has all of the Phantom Thieves status screen portraits and this city-like effect where it just towers up across the top of the system, and it just blends in so well with the white of the system itself. The controller also has some Phantom Thief imagery on it with the logo, Morgana on the touchpad, and the iconic stars around as well. Shit, even the box of the system is beautiful. Look at how colorful and just nice it is. The back has all of the personas of the party lined up, and I mean, god, it is just a masterpiece, honestly. If this system wasn't so expensive, I definitely would have bought it by now, but alas, that is probably never gonna happen because who the hell is buying a PS4 Pro for $1,000? I mean, come on now, your boy ain't got it like that. So that's about it for the consoles. There really weren't too many made, but there were a shit ton of collector's editions made for basically every game, so let's go over some of these. Obviously, I can't go over all of them because there's just way too many, but I think I've got a really good selection here. Starting things off, we have the game that started it all, or at least the remake of the game that started it all, and that is Shin Megami Tensei Persona soundtrack bundle on the PSP. As you can probably imagine, this collection comes with the game, the soundtrack, and this thing goes for upwards of $250 to $400, which is just insane because it's nearly the same price as some of the consoles we talked about, and it's just the damn music in the game. Like, come on. Unfortunately, this is just what happens as the series gets more popular. More people get interested in the older content that had lower prints, and as a result, the price goes haywire. The same thing happened for the Persona 2 remake on PSP, but even more so. It's the same deal with the soundtrack in the game, but this one goes for a whopping $300 to upwards of $500. Yes, for the same price of a PlayStation 5, you can have the complete soundtrack bundle of Persona 2. Now, I don't know about you, but that just sounds like an absolutely great deal. Maybe I should get one. Or maybe hell no, that. Not all collector's editions are this bare bones though. The European Collector's Edition of Persona 3 Portable is actually really dope because it has these cool postcards of the character portraits, and the background is the arcana that represents them. Makoto has a blue full, Kotane has a pink full, and so on and so forth. It also comes with an art book and a poster, and this collector's edition goes for $300 to $500 generally, but it's very rare and low volume, so the price can fluctuate a lot. Persona 4 Golden on the Vita also got a collector's edition called the Solid Gold Edition, and this one came with a bit more than that of Portable. Kinda. You see, this one didn't come with an art book or anything, but cosmetic items like a sticker sheet, a protective skin, a cover, the game, and a carrying case. Honestly, for this thing being around $300 to $400, I think this is probably the worst value collector's item nowadays because there's not even anything to really show off. At least with an art book, you can flip through it, and with something like a postcard set, it's just nice to have high quality prints. But in my opinion, the items in this are just very, very underwhelming for what it goes for today. Granted, you could say that for basically anything on the collector's market nowadays, so there is that. There are a lot more collector's editions out there, but for the sake of this video, I want to go over just one more, and that is the Persona 4 Dancing Disco Fever Edition. This is somewhat similar to what comes in the Persona 4 Dancing console from Japan, but with a few extra things included. It came with a Vita skin, DLC codes, the soundtrack, the game, a keychain, and a pouch to hold your Vita in. The thing about this is that it roughly goes for $200, but there's almost never any on the marketplace from what I can see. At any given time, there's like maybe 5 or so for sale, and they're usually pretty beaten up with a lot of cosmetic damage to the casing, so finding a minty copy is actually really hard even though it isn't as expensive as some of the other things we talked about on this list. The box itself is really cool though. It has Narukami and Rise and this really cool disco-like effect, and it fits what the game is going for super well. I also find it interesting that most covers and special editions have the protagonist and the lover's arcana together, so maybe Atlas is trying to tell us something. Okay, so we've gone over a lot so far, but by far some of the coolest things to me are the animation and movie box sets. In case you aren't aware, Persona 3 has 4 movie adaptations, and Persona 4, Persona 4 Golden, and Persona 5 have animation series. Each of these came with their own box sets, and they are absolutely gorgeous. Starting with the cheapest one is the Persona 4 Golden box set. This particular one was only released in Japan, and around the box it has the investigation team, and on the back Marie has a side all to her own, which is fitting since Golden is basically her game to an extent. This thing will set you back anywhere from $90 to $130, which honestly is kinda affordable. I mean, don't get me wrong, it's still pricey for what it is, but it is a really nice set. The main Persona 4 animation box set is fairly similar, but the art isn't as colorful, but it's still absolutely jaw-dropping. Honestly, the way Narukami's face blends in with Izanagi might be one of my favorite pieces of Persona art ever. This one ranges from the same price as the Golden box set, and considering this one has double the amount of episodes, you really can't go wrong with this one. What you can go wrong with, on the other hand, is the Persona 5 animation box set, because this one is about $300 to $500, and if you ask me, it's the worst anime adaptation by far. I will give it credit though and say that the art for the box itself is really amazing, and it's debatably the best one, although there is another one I think is better, and that is the first box set of the Persona 3 movies. This box set has all 4 movies, and the art of the box is just fucking beautiful. I mean, good lord. The art of Aigis and Makoto is actually my favorite Persona art of all time. The colors on it are just genuinely amazing, and the actual movies inside have the soundtracks and some other stuff too. Out of everything on this list, I think this is my personal favorite, but it's still not cheap unfortunately. When I bought it, I got it for around $130, but nowadays it's selling for around $300. Whether that's worth it or not, well, I'ma just leave that up to you, but you do have to admit this thing is beautiful for sure. That's actually not the only Persona 3 movie box set though. There was another release in 2023, and this one is a lot more affordable at around $170 on Amazon Japan with free shipping. I don't like this set as much in terms of the box itself, but it's still the same great 4 movies. So if you want a cheaper way to get a nice box set, then this is definitely one you should consider picking up. Not too much to talk about besides those when it comes to the movies and anime though. They're all pretty similar and have some dope box sets with some really nice art that any Persona fan could enjoy. We're getting close to the end of the video now, so it's time to bust out the rarest and most expensive Persona collectibles I could find. Starting off with one that is infamous for better or worse is Revelations Persona on PlayStation 1, coming in at a whopping $350 to upwards of $1,000, and that's just for the game alone. Revelations Persona is widely regarded as one of, if not the worst localizations ever, with major changes to the story, characters, and some racism to top it all off. Since it has that reputation and is also the first Persona game to come to Japan to overseas, it is highly sought after today, and you are going to be very hard pressed to find it in good condition either, since it was so low volume. I don't know exactly how many units were made, but it can't have been very much. Similarly, bar the bad localization, Persona 2 Eternal Punishment on PlayStation 1 goes for a similarly hefty price of $350 to $500. This one is basically the same story as Revelations Persona, but since this one is actually a pretty good game, that doesn't make it any less desirable. Okay, maybe just the standard games are a bit boring. We all know how the video game market has been. So let me show you something hella obscure that I didn't even know existed until my homie Lucky Slime informed me, so shout out to you. And that's the Persona 4 Arena Limited Edition. This was only released in Europe, and I straight up could not find a single listing of this anywhere online. This came with a game, the arranged soundtrack, Chie's pins for her jacket, a keychain, a bag, and most interestingly, an entire puzzle set. In terms of content, this was actually pretty jam-packed and it had a lot of cool stuff anyone could get behind as a collector. But I really could not find any information on this besides the fact it was a Europe exclusive and it's seemingly impossible to find. That's not the only rare thing from Arena either. There was an arranged vinyl set as a reward bonus if you pre-ordered from a British retailer called Game, and these are very rare. They range greatly in price because I've seen some for around $60 or so, but when those listings are gone, I've seen them go for as high as $300 or even higher than that. Definitely an odd little item, and as someone who has poured way too much time into the arena games with commentating and competing, these are some things I'd love to own someday. Something even more obscure than that is the Persona 1 Windows port, which I also did not know existed until I started doing some research for this video. It never received a localization, and since it's a 16-bit application, you have to jump through some hoops to get it to run on modern hardware. To add on to this, the game was never released digitally, so the only legal way to play it is to buy a physical copy. But I shit you not, this thing has got to be extinct or something because even going through proxy sites like Buyee, I straight up could not find it. So unless you sell the 7 Cs, good luck ever playing this port of the game today. Back onto the topic of vinyls, I got a few more I want to talk about before we get into the 2 rarest and most expensive Persona items I could find. Persona 4 Dancing actually had one more vinyl variant besides the recently released ones by iam8bit. There's not too much I know about these besides the fact it was only available for a short amount of time in 2015, but they had Risei on the front and Narukami on the back. They had this really cool pink and white gradient type thing going on, and the peace signs matched, and they ate. Oh my god, they are gorgeous. What isn't gorgeous is the price because this vinyl is $800. Yes, $800. Now, I don't know about you, but that's a little bit out of the budget for a vinyl, but hey, at least we got the great art that came out of it. One of the last vinyls in this case I want to talk about, are not going to get any cheaper. I'm referring to the 25th anniversary vinyl box set that came with the vinyl sets of Persona 1 all the way through Persona 5. Now, while there are a ton of high quality premium vinyls in this, I just cannot excuse the resale market putting this thing out there for $1,000. I mean, come on, man. The MSRP of like $500, I think it was bad enough, but $1,000? Just forget it. Okay, we're going into the dumbest thing on this entire list. So you know all those anime and movie box sets we went over? Well, there's another collector's edition that is more expensive than a lot of those combined. This Persona 4 Animation Collector's Edition made by Aniplex is, I don't know, roughly $1,200 damn dollars. I mean, good lord, who in the actual hell is trying to buy this? I get it's rare and everything, but can we just live in reality for a second to be for real? You can just buy the other box sets and save yourself a cool almost $1,000. But that collector's edition box is nice though, so maybe the $1,200 is worth it, you know? So now we arrive at the rarest Persona item I have found to date. And of course, it's a vinyl. It's always the damn vinyls. But this one has a different story. So when Persona 3 and Persona 5 Dancing were released, there were some promotional vinyls made, and there are only 42 of these things in existence. As to who owns these said 42 copies, it's hard to say, but they probably went to developers or are in the hands of private collectors. But the fact that a series like Persona with millions of copies sold has something like this out in the wild truly makes it one of, if not the rarest items in the series history. So yeah, that's my list of the rarest, coolest, and most expensive Persona items I could find. Are there any you know of that you think are cool that I might have missed? Drop a comment and let me know. And hey, maybe we can do a part 2 of this if you all enjoyed it. As always, thank you all for the support on the channel. I really can't believe the growth we have had. It's honestly overwhelming, so thank you all again. With all of that said, Thank you all for watching. If you enjoyed, please consider liking and subscribing for some more great Persona content to come in the future. It's been your boy Yandere Gogeta, and I will see you in the next video. Peace out and have a great day.